Hey, what's up guys? You are watching the Q&A for the previous episode of Project Go, which was high energy environments. So let's get started. Mags writes, great video. I liked the demonstration of how close you should be with a girl. Couple of questions. Since I'm only answering one question per person, I'm just gonna choose the one that I liked, which is the third question. With the predictions, do you base them on anything or just a guess? And what do you do if you get it completely wrong? I never really use this as a worry, but I guess it fits into the role-playing thing. This is a game I play with myself to make things a little bit more fun. I look at the girl and I try to guess her occupation or her major based on certain things such as how she dresses, how she talks, how she makes eye contact, the tone of voice she uses. If they're really fashionable, I'll usually guess that they're in some type of creative field like art or, I don't know, architecture. If it seems like they're really confident, I might guess that they're in public relations or something where you really have to deal with people. Now, it doesn't matter if you get it right or not, but personally, I like to actually try to get it right because again, it makes it more fun for me. From Morton Koopa Sr. Also, how do you hit on girls in public transportation? Buses, trains? It's difficult because if you bomb, you don't want to have to be on the bus with her for the whole ride and change your seat and blah blah. Also, I'm not the type of guy who would want to have a conversation with a chick for a 45-minute bus ride. Also, you don't know where she's getting off, so when do you get the number? And what if she gets off at the stop after you got on and she has to leave before you can make progress? Let me address that last part first. You get onto a bus, you talk to a girl, and she has to get off at the very next stop. As soon as she gets up, just say, hey, I don't know you really well, and I know we just met, but what do you say we exchange numbers? Boom, done. If she doesn't give you her number, who cares? Life goes on. If she does give you her number, then great. She could potentially be your next girlfriend. So let's get back to the first part now. What if you go up to her and you bomb? In these situations, if you bomb, do exactly what you would have done if she wasn't there. We've said this over and over and over before. It's only awkward if you think it's awkward. And lastly, why would you not want to have a conversation with a girl for 45 minutes? Your only other option is to either sit there or to listen to music, both of which you can do anytime in your life. Wouldn't you rather spend those 45 minutes meeting a girl that could potentially be your wife? Legit AFC writes, this question is not related to the video, but if you talk to a girl that you've met from a while and you hanged out for the first time, how do you change the casual hangout to a date? You escalate. You sit closer to her. You put your arm around her shoulders. When you're walking, you link arms with her. You hold her hand. You bite her neck. You kiss her. That's how you turn a casual hangout into a date. Baller for Life asks, hey Kong, I have a question. I'm 18 and a college freshman. I want to talk to every girl I find attractive at the mall or anywhere I go, but what's stopping me from doing so is that I'm usually with my family and I don't know how to approach a girl when I'm with my family. What should I do? What excuse should I use to get away from my family when I want to talk to the girl I find attractive? I really need help on this because I always have the regret feeling of not talking to the girl since I'm with family. I feel like I could be missing out on hot dates if this continues to happen. The only girls I've hit on were at school during my lunch break, but I want to approach girls anywhere I go. Let me ask you this. What difference does it make if your family is there? They know you have a penis, they know you're attracted to girls, hopefully, and they know you want to get laid. Trust me, it's not a secret. The answer to this is to stop caring about who's watching you or who's not watching you. Drop your ego and just go. Obviously, if I'm spending time with my mom somewhere, I'm not gonna go for every mediocre girl that walks past because that's rude to my mom. However, if I see a really hot girl across the way, I have no problem saying to my mom, Mom, I'm going to flirt with this girl real quick, be back in 5 minutes. Ashes asks, when she said she is going back to her hotel room, would it work if you told her you want to go back with her to her place? Or should you always go indirect about it and go on a quick date first? Yes, you could definitely do that, and a lot of times I do. In this situation, the girl was kind of into me from the beginning, so I think whatever I did would have worked. But for other girls who are hesitant, you'll have to try different things. Some girls who are confident with their sexuality will find it very attractive that you're being blunt because that shows confidence. Some girls might be shy and see it as being too forward. It really just depends on the situation, and when you're trying to bring the girl home on the first night that you meet her, you're going to have to try all of these things and more to actually succeed. GMC says, how come in this video, Kong saying that there is a high energy vibe, he didn't bring anything sexual like you guys say? Also, how do you guys know when you can say sexual comments? That's a really good point, and this is a clear example of how you don't need to be perfect in every interaction to succeed. No one can ever be perfect all the time. Looking back on the situation, it would have been better if I was more verbally sexual with a girl. But was it absolutely necessary for me to do that in order to get back to her hotel room? Obviously not. Aladdin Jafar writes, very impressive video, Kong, but I have a bit of a complaint. You explained really well how to build attraction in the first few seconds and how to lead the interaction, but you didn't touch on the makeout at all. This is where I and many others need some advice. You didn't mention it in the episode with the MILF either. Help a brother out. Peace. Maybe I can go into detail about this in another video, but for now, I'll just give you a summary. Making out with a girl is not hard at all. Generally, my rule is, whenever I think to myself, should I be making out with this girl right now? I always go, because that's generally the right time to do it. And when you're actually kissing a girl, there are different ways you can do it too. Jason likes to put his hands around her neck/head and kind of pull her in. I generally like to put her arms on my shoulders and move just my head in. And you'll find that sometimes she'll kiss you on your first try, and sometimes you'll have to try multiple times in order to finally kiss her. This is something that I can talk for hours on, so maybe we'll save it for a podcast or a future episode. From PDog1313, chick, just walking around and seeing where I can get in. Kong, forget it. You and I are going on our honeymoon. So his question was, personally, I would have replied, don't worry, you'll get in eventually. Seductive eyes. Do you think that would turn her off? I'm still having trouble drawing boundaries between going sexual too fast and not. Keep up the great work. Trust me, that example you gave was not going that fast at all, so you don't really have to worry about that. One time I went to a bar and I went up to a girl and said, you, me, my hotel room, sex, hardcore, now. Anal is also an option. And I said that with a completely serious face, and surprisingly, she actually laughed and introduced herself. There's really no rule on when you can start going sexual. It just depends on the situation and what type of girl she is. The rule here is very similar to kissing. Whenever you ask yourself, should I be going sexual with this girl right now? The answer is almost always yes. Lewis84 asks, hey Kong, why did you go to her hotel instead of yours? I'm going to Vegas for the first time in February. Do you have any tips about logistics, like inviting a girl to my room versus to her room, and when to invite her? Thanks. Generally speaking, me and the guys don't like to invite the girl back to our hotel room because of a few reasons. One, there are usually 4 or 5 of us in a room, maybe even more, because we're cheap like that. So the chances of going into the room with a girl and seeing another person there already with another girl is pretty high, and then that situation gets kind of weird. So we always try to bring them to the girls' hotel first, and then ours if theirs doesn't work. The second main reason is because some girls actually get really clingy and a little bit psychotic. So in that case, I don't really want them to know where my hotel room is. In fact, I even take it to the next level, and I usually don't give girls my real number. I give them my Google Voice number so that if anything crazy happens, I can just easily disable the Google Voice and boom, no more Kong for them. And that might sound like a little bit mean, but honestly, I rarely ever do that. It's only a safety precaution for the girls who get really, really psychotic. Germany Poland asks, you seem to approach girls everywhere with confidence. Even sometimes people are around and hear you. That's my problem. I am too concerned and scared of what people might think and stuff. When people are around in everyday situations, I am too scared to hit on a girl because I am worrying too much about what people might think about me. Do you have any advice on this? I think it is a problem for a lot of other guys too. Cheers. You gotta think about it like this. These people around you, you're never, ever, ever going to see them again. Okay, so why are you even worrying about what they think of you? Secondly, why are you thinking that they're thinking negatively about you when they watch you hit on a girl? Because a lot of times they actually give you respect on doing that. When you go and approach a random girl on the street, the people around who hear you are going to think you're a boss. And no matter if you fail or succeed, the fact that you did it blows their mind because they've never ever seen anybody do that in their life. So when you come up and do it, they automatically think, wow, this guy is super confident. The next question comes from GBX12345. People always ask me why I'm so quiet and always try to avoid social situations. I feel like I have nothing interesting to say. Kong, were you like this? Were you once like this? If so, how did you fix this? Yes, I was like this when I started too. All of us were. There are two main things you have to remember in order to be interesting. The first is to not give a shit and talk about whatever you want. This goes back to the idea of being polarizing. Some girls are going to hate your hobbies and not get along with you. Some girls are going to love you for it. The second thing to remember, which is even more important, is to live an interesting life. This is one of the reasons we created the other channel, Simple Pickup 2, to show guys that it's okay to go out there and try new things and make your life interesting. So instead of buying that new PS3 game that comes out, use that money to go bungee jumping. Instead of buying the new iPad that comes out next year, use that money to go skydiving or try some weird food in your local restaurants. In the past 2 months alone, I've made my life interesting personally by becoming vegan for a week and trying that out, exploring areas of San Francisco I never knew existed, getting drunk on Black Friday and going to the mall and trolling people, all of which are either free or very cheap. But the most important part is that these are experiences that I can share with people. The more cool experiences you have, the more you're going to appreciate life and the more you're going to be able to connect with a girl on a deeper level.